Stand clear of the prop.
This adventure challenge takes us high above the United States, Canada, and the Atlantic Ocean in the tiniest of aircraft. It's a hugely risky and ambitious challenge. If successful, it will be a first.
My name is Brian Milton, and my adventure challenge is the Atlantic by Microlight. I've done it before. I was the first man to fly a Microlight around the world in 1998. But when I did the Atlantic then, I did it in stages by going north. This time, I want to do it non-stop, from Newfoundland through to Ireland.
And if he succeeds, Brian will become the first man to microlight right over the vast expanse of the Atlantic. Yet this is a man who's afraid of heights. He'll need a heavily modified aircraft and must make constant adjustments. Yet he has no technical skill.
Like getting things in the wrong way around.
He faces treacherous conditions, fog, storms, as well as technical glitches. But he'll do whatever it takes to achieve his goal.
And even, if necessary, die rather than walk away or crawl away from this one.
There's another danger too. Red tape. As he moves up America's eastern seaboard, a posse of bureaucrats is hot on his tail. In daring to fly such an unorthodox vessel across such huge distances, he faces being grounded by officials who believe the flight is too dangerous. But this is a man who's obsessed with his goal. With the odds stacked against him, he's quite prepared to escape by Microlight. Brian Milton is something of an icon in the world of microlighting. Not only was he the first man to fly around the world in a microlight, for many years he held the record for the longest and fastest microlight flight in history. 59 days from London to Sydney. Although he has a day job as a writer, he's been flying microlights ever since they were invented. Before that, he flew hang gliders, once famously cheating death after his glider collapsed. It's no wonder he's now afraid of heights. But as we join him, psyching himself up to cross the Atlantic, he's not flown long distance for a couple of years.
I mean, all of this is experience for me anyway. I've got to get back into a mode. I'd just forgotten all of this since I haven't flown for so long.
Rusty or not, Brian's assured of his place in microlighting history. So why does he want to subject himself to yet another dangerous flying adventure, potentially the most hazardous one of his career? It's all about chasing ghosts. The ghosts of his own past, the struggle against his own nerves, but also the ghosts of famous flyers who have gone before.
I'm chasing the aviators who did it first, Alcock and Brown, back in 1919. I also want to start off from the beginning of another great journey, that of Charles Lindbergh, who flew from New York to Paris in 1927.
So he's chasing them both, starting in New York State, across New York City, before heading northwest towards Canada, hitting Nova Scotia, then Newfoundland, and then an estimated 30-hour journey, 2 days and a night, across the big pond towards Ireland. But first, he has to do a bit of shopping. He'll need a pretty special aircraft for this journey, with lots of legroom.
I can put my foot out in flight on both sides, which is a way of getting exercise. And you know, if I'm going to be in the air for 30 hours, I've got to worry about deep vein thrombosis. I can lift myself out of the seat and waggle myself around.
Perhaps more importantly, a big chunky wing to give him the lift he's going to need to carry himself, his equipment, and his fuel.
This is the actual wing I'm going to use.
As for the fuel itself, he will need a lot of it for the Atlantic crossing. This is the normal size for a microlight fuel tank, which is way too small. So Brian goes back to the drawing board, commissioning a monster tank. And this is it. Brian wants the world to know about his adventure. For a spot of publicity, he heads to London's Science Museum, home to some of the early transatlantic flyers.
That's the Vickers Vimy in the background, the one that actually made the flight in 1919.
By comparison, his microlight is microscopic.
We haven't turned it up.
Brian's arrived in New York State, his starting point, but the Microlight is in pieces.
That is the tank. It looks like I have a garden shed shoved down the back of my trousers when I'm flying it. Looking at this skeleton, it's really hard to think of it as an aircraft that's going to try and fly the Atlantic. It's Tuesday afternoon. I've been working quite hard. 5 or 6 hours solid work, sweat pouring off me. But I've got the wing up, and after a few mistakes, like getting things in the wrong way around, everything now looks like it faces the right way, and she's almost ready to fly. It's still a rotten day outside, lots of rain and drizzle, and I don't see any reason why I should be going out there and just getting wet when I can do it tomorrow when there's going to be no rain. And anyway, I need to check everything over time and again and again and again, because this is an extremely serious flight.
Well, Julia, it's approved as requested. I have no traffic. You guys can do what you want.
Wednesday morning, and Brian is about to start. The first leg will be the longest single flight of his career to date, a 10-hour journey to Halifax, the capital of Nova Scotia. It's a long haul, but he expects the Atlantic crossing to take 3 times longer than that.
Uniform Mike, you ready?
Affirmative.
Okay, for one Juliet, taking off. Party.
This leg will take him roughly halfway to the starting point for his Atlantic journey in Newfoundland.
Okay, we're off. We're away. Come on, you. Wow, if this is the right speed, I'm going to get there very quickly indeed. I'm doing 72 miles an hour, which is quite extraordinary. I've just climbed up to nearly to 1,000 feet. I'm going over a ridge and I can see the New York skyline. I'd like to be able to take out my camera and show you, but I'm quite busy here at the moment.
5 Charlie Tango, runway 6, you're clear to land.
We'll never get shots like this again.
Direct flight, good exit, Golf, hold Charlie, Lima, down point.
Brian, go ahead and talk right now.
Yeah, I'm just speaking. I'm just coming in now towards the Statue of Liberty. If you can hear me, I'm coming in towards the Statue of Liberty. And I'll be turning around her 3 or 4 times.
Just about at the lady.
And I've just had her now at about 700 feet looking down. She is so powerful an icon.
Brian, go ahead and talk right now.
I am talking. Would you like me to talk on the radio, or would you like me to talk on the telephone?
Yep.
Okay, well, yep doesn't mean anything.
Downtown DHL 1, cross the river.
I'm just circling the Statue of Liberty now, and she's a very powerful icon indeed. You feel that she could reach out and touch you if you get too close. I think I'll descend a bit. Morning, ma'am. How are you? You don't have to reply. If you did, I'd be very nervous indeed. I'm taking a wide berth because I'm doing lots of things aside from just flying, like dialing telephones and stuff like that. I feel quite good. I feel harassed, but then anybody flying in this airspace would feel harassed. It's an absolutely terrific view of New York. And, I mean, I'm setting off on as big an adventure and as big a flight, I think, as Lindbergh was doing. I know that he must have felt just as nervous as I did. I know he hadn't got a night's sleep, and I didn't sleep terribly well last night. But I'm only going as far as Halifax today, which is 612 miles. It's the longest, perhaps the 5th or 6th longest flight ever made in a Microlight.
Thanks, and all right, just continue.
But as Brian continues past New York City, he starts to worry. Conditions are good, but he's using fuel more quickly than he'd hoped. If he can't make it through the first leg according to plan, what chance will he have when he's over the Atlantic Ocean?